Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I've been spending the week with the all-new 2015 Ford F-150, the truck a lot of people are talking about because it's got a lot of new stuff going on, namely the new all-aluminum body. A lot of folks are curious, how does it live? How does it drive? But more important, Ford has taken on an entirely new powertrain strategy this year, offering not one, not two, but 3 V6 engines and only 1 V8. Two of the engines are EcoBoost V6s. This one, the new 2.7-liter EcoBoost twin turbo V6. So we're going to find out today, how does it drive, how does it perform, and how does it live every day?
The 2015 F-150's taken most of the oxygen out of the room in the last year when it comes to talking full-size pickups. If it isn't about the aluminum body construction, it's about the vast array of EcoBoost engines. While those are thick topics to get into, styling and design itself are also worthy of a few words here. The new pickup breaks a lot of ground in its detail, yet manages to look like a good old Ford F-150 at first sight. Since fuel economy's all the rage today, several aerodynamic details play into its design, like a flush windshield with no trim to drag airflow, and there's a rubber flat between the cab and the cargo box which keeps air from causing turbulence between the two. Another detail, like the air slots on the front wheel wells, which I first thought looked like broken plastic, is actually functional. Air from behind the grille is ducted here to create air curtains around the front wheels, reducing drag. Our tester here had the pricey XLT Chrome package at $1,695, which gives it a unique grille, tow hooks, running boards, and chrome 18-inch wheels. There's also chrome door handles and a nicely finished exhaust tip. Standard on the XLT was the BoxLink cleat system, which allows for integration of several cargo-carrying accessories. Optioned was the spray-on bed liner, LED box lights, and the now famous tailgate step.
One feature I just gotta point out here is something that Ford's had now for quite some time, the step that folds out of the tailgate, making it easier to get into the back. Now, Ford's actually taken some ribbing for this, and some of the owners, well, the Chevy guys like to call this, not so affectionately, the man step. And while I understand the joke there, I have to tell you, this actually makes getting in and out of the back of this truck quite easy. Just step in, and you're there. I think that's pretty cool.
The Super Cab has clamshell opening side doors which allow for a full opening front to rear for rear seat access. This is nice on one hand, but requires a front passenger step out and open the door to let the rear passengers in and out. Interior design has Ford's familiar flavor, but takes on a more chunky and technical appearance here. Blacks and grays flow across higher quality materials than before, with a good helping of soft touch surfaces on the doors, dash, and console. The rear seat does offer reasonable room, though if you want more, you can go with a full-size crew cab. It has seating for 3 across, and the lower cushions fold upwards to allow cargo room for tall and bulky items. Our XLT had package 301A, which adds a number of things like power adjustable pedals, an upgraded base infotainment system with satellite radio, sync connectivity, and a small screen for a backup camera. The center stack features an array of buttons large enough to use with work gloves, as does the steering wheel, which has controls for both the audio system and the instrument cluster's TFT center screen information center. Controls for the 4-wheel drive and the optioned electric trailer brake controller were located within easy reach just to the right of the steering wheel.
I say this every time it happens. I love it when they give me a vehicle that isn't fully loaded, like in the case of an F-150. It's not a King Ranch, it's not a Platinum. An XLT, this is the middle of the road. This is what most people are going to drive home with when they go to the Ford dealership. So it really gives me a chance to see the level of the switchgear, the quality, and the overall design most people are actually going to look at when they sit behind the wheel. So what I see here is, I see high quality switchgear and a very nice, well-designed center stack. Everything's within easy reach. Now this does have a couple options, namely this console right here, and it's a pretty expensive one at that, but I highly recommend it because it has lots of storage inside here, but big cup holders, a place for junk, as well as a little slide open place here for your phone. I mean, it's just really a nice piece. A lot of versatility here. Now, one thing I do want to pick on is this has option package 301A, which is a little bit over $2,000 here. One of the things it includes is a mild upgrade here on the infotainment system. And while I get the fact this is a basic pickup truck, at the cost of that package, I really think we really could be using a little bit more here in terms of infotainment. I'm talking, it could really be a larger screen, it could have more functionality, and here we've got sync. So if you do try to connect up your phone and use it, it's very clunky without a touch screen. You have to sort of hunt and peck on the buttons. It just really could be a lot better. I test drive a lot of cars that cost half as much as this that have a full-size screen and even navigation for that matter. So that's just one area I think that really sort of goes to value.
Under the hood of our F-150 is the smaller of two optional EcoBoost engines. The 2.7-liter EcoBoost twin-turbo V6 has 325 horsepower and 375 pound-feet of torque. It's all delivered exclusively through a 6-speed automatic transmission. The new 2.7-liter engine is the smallest found in any full-size truck, built tough with a combination block of aluminum and compacted graphite iron. It's the same material used in the 6.7-liter Power Stroke diesels found in Ford's Super Duty trucks.
This 2.7-liter EcoBoost actually delivers a pretty nice punch. You can really feel it in your back when you really put your foot in it. And it's the kind of power we used to expect from V8s not that long ago. The old 5.4 3-valve V8, well, this has more power than that and almost as much torque. So that's really where we're at. We've got smaller turbocharged engines here that deliver as much power as we used to get, but better fuel economy. Now there is a caveat, and what I found out with this is if you drive normally you can get better fuel economy than you did with the V8s, but if you put your foot in it, or perhaps if you tow, that uses the gas a lot more. And so it might be interesting to see a test where we take a currently available V8 and one of these EcoBoost V6s, put them both on load with a trailer, test them out and see what kind of fuel economy they actually get when you're using them hard.
Our truck, as tested, was rated by the EPA at 18 mpg city, 23 mpg highway, and 20 mpg combined. In our week, we achieved 19 mpg combined in a variety of both city and highway, with the AC on at all times. While the body of the 2015 F-150 is aluminum, its frame remains steel, fully boxed and now using as much as 78% lightweight, high-strength steel. It's stronger than before, yet lighter. Chassis weight was also saved using aluminum in places like the front spindle, uprights, and in the drive shaft. New materials aside, the chassis design is similar to before, featuring staggered outboard mounted shocks and leaf springs at the rear. Large jounce bumpers and generous rubber bushings contribute to a softer touch on and off-road.
This, I think, by far is the quietest and most comfortable riding F-150 I think I've ever spent time in. The handling is very stable, the steering has a nice feel to it, and when you lay it into curves, it just has a nice solid feel.
Its quiet ride on the highway was as much an outcome of its chassis design as it was its aerodynamic qualities, which have reduced wind noise to an almost bare minimum.
Now, if you watch my reviews, one thing you know I love to do is bring a truck or an SUV out here to the desert washboard road because, well, it's not true off-roading. It's a great test of how well sorted the chassis is, how well bolted together this thing is. This road, even though it's not real heavy, this thing can rattle the best of them right down to their bolts. So what I'm finding so far is that the suspension and chassis here is actually very well put together. It's got, just like on the highway, nice rubberized, isolated feel to it. And the handling out here on the slippery surfaces, not bad at all. It'll fishtail just a little bit, but that stability control does step in pretty quickly. Now, I am getting just a little bit of rattle and shake here in the body structure, but nothing that's outside the norm that I normally expect in a pickup truck. For the most part, this thing's just gliding down this road like a magic carpet.
While this truck isn't an off-road oriented model, it wouldn't be one of our tests without taking it off into the trails to see if this new aluminum-bodied Ford feels as tough as the old steel.
Now, the truck we have here is not an FX4. It doesn't have an off-road suspension per se. This is just the standard suspension four-wheel drive truck. But even out here just doing some moderate trail riding, what I'm finding is that it's actually got a nice tune to it because it is somewhat softly sprung, and the rubber jounce bumpers on this thing are huge. It actually rides pretty nice out here in the rough stuff, and when you do bottom it out, it's got a nice touch to it. It doesn't crash through the chassis and in here with a loud noise or a big thump. It's just got a nice feel to it. And this electric steering is nice. It makes it nice and maneuverable out here. It's So overall, even though the FX4 is probably something that you'd want if you do this all the time, if you had the stock suspension like this does, it's not terrible at all. It's actually quite comfortable, very maneuverable. Speeds up. Woo! Yay! Woohoo! Well, there you have it, the 2015 Ford F-150. Now, I'm pretty impressed, almost impressed enough to put it on my I'd buy it list for this year, but honestly, I think I'm going to hold out for that Raptor, which doesn't arrive until the 2017 model year. Now, as we look at the specs here, about $45,000, all said and done. Now, this is right in line with what Ford says is their median transaction price of $44,000 for the F-Series trucks. That's a lot of change, and this is a mid-grade truck, but trucks cost a lot. That's just the way it is today. Now, as we look at the fuel economy, I achieved 19 mpg this week on an average, both highway and the city. It's rated at 20, but in fairness, it's 100 plus degrees out here right now, and it has been all week, and the air conditioner's never been off. And air conditioners tend to affect the fuel economy on smaller engines more so than they do the larger ones, so I give it a little bit of leeway on that. Now, as we look at the stars, pretty good across the board. There were a few areas we didn't get all the way to 5, but we talked about those during our review. Overall, 4.5 stars for the week. Not bad at all. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Well, folks, if you like the test drive you just saw, click on the link right there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We test drive 1, sometimes 2 vehicles each week, and we put up a new video almost every single day. News, other features, there's always something new, so stay tuned.